All right, it is 7:02. I will call to order this meeting of the Wabash Township Board. It is October 18th.
Chair Ian Pitlars,
Present.
Secretary David Tate is present. Brendan Betts is
He mentioned that he was out of town and didn't have internet.
out of town. We will take that as an excuse. And Trustee Valentin is here, and Chief Ward is being represented by Officer Hampton. Roll call is complete.
All right. All rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we can start with the approval of the previous board minutes.
The last board minute lasted not quite 5 minutes. We had no comments, suggestions, or addendums. We give those to you as presented, Mr. Chair.
Move to approve.
All vote aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Opportunity for public comment, if anybody so chooses. Do we have anybody in Zoom? Do we have
Biker. Let me double check. There's nobody. Waiting.
It doesn't look like it.
Oh, there's Travis Murphy. So
None.
Hearing none, we have no old business. Is our speaker coming?
That is the assumption, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, let's move on with the other new business then while we wait. So resolution 2022-23 establishes salaries of township officers for 2023. This just matches all of the pay increase information that we have been seeing for
yes,
over
it's
3 months now.
yeah, it's a little bit different than I can stay here, see it. It's fine. I don't need to be in front of it. It's a little different than what we've done in previous obviously salary resolutions, because it's with the growth of the department, it's a bit different. But what it says essentially, it has fixed rate salaries for the township trustee, the township administrator, which is a position that Amy currently holds, the members of the township board, and the fire chief. Those are set. And then we have the ability to have one employee, one firefighting employee, in either a deputy chief position or a battalion chief position. And same thing, we can have 3 employees in the position of captain or lieutenant of the paid employees, and it has their rate of compensation. So we're budgeted so that everybody would be at their top position, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly what will be the case when we have the people. Then we have senior firefighters, and that's the rank of engineer. Then we're going to have up to 3 members that are at that rate of compensation. And then the next page, it turns around the other way. So thank you. It has a firefighter's first class and firefighter entry level, and it allows for 6 members to be employed at that salary rate. I also wrote a language, and I want to double check that your guys' interpretation of it is the same as the way I wrote it, to make sure that there's no lack of clarity as to the language. I essentially said if there's a number of vacancies within a category of ranks, which the category is named, a position, the same number of positions could be filled at a lower category of ranks. Like, for example, if we didn't have a battalion chief or a deputy chief, and we weren't planning on having one for X or Y reason, because we weren't, we're planning to promote from within, but we're getting, we're not building at the same level or whatnot, then you could, for example, add a 4th captain. But then, then we wouldn't be able to fill that position unless we. Yeah.
That's in
So,
turnover. Yeah.
yes.
So my
Exactly.
question, may I ask a question?
Yes.
So would that salary then for the fill-in position, if you don't have a battalion chief or deputy chief, let's say you make the captain assume the same responsibilities, would the captain's pay be that of the battalion chief?
No, so it would be unless they have the rank, they'll have the position. They'll have the salary of their rank, not the. So like it would be like that we might have somebody that's a captain but is filling in or whatnot, or we're at some point we might promote but not yet. They would get the rate of compensation for their respective rank. And
This
then,
just gives you the opportunity if you like lose a captain.
and you need an
want to
extra
fill with a
engineer or a
firefighter.
firefighter, exactly,
You
yes,
can't.
yes. And then we have two specifications, two specializations that are also listed on here. One of them is the paramedic specialization, and so that one's a variable number of positions. That'll be with the work that we're doing to build in with T's, so that we can be able to perform advanced life support services, which there'll be, once we get that finalized, we'll be able to have an agreement in place where we get paid per run. And as a result of that, we'll be able to pay a stipend to the paramedics. And so it has no set number of them, but it's variable. But the rate of compensation would be $3,000 extra for those folks that are paramedics and are receiving paramedic pay. Separately, we also have a specialization for technology support. And off the gate, the idea of this at this moment is Spiker is our essentially in-house tech. And he's actually starting in the next few weeks on October 24th. And what we would be looking is instead of having an outside person do technology, he would get paid $1,500 a year, and he would be in charge of the technology in addition to his role as a firefighter. So it's a small extra specialization pay. And then separately, we did make one change. We did make some change to the longevity pay. So basically allowing people that have spent less than 5 years to get a very small longevity pay of like $100. And then the rest of it is essentially the same. But that's the one that's listed there. And so lastly, on the last page of it is the part-time positions and the interns. So the part-time position, what we put would be a specialized firefighter. For example, if we needed to hire someone to like do investigations or other pieces, those would get paid $21 an hour. Whereas if it's a regular firefighter is just performing firefighter duties, they would get paid $18 an hour, which is the same rate as we had this year for the firefighters. And then lastly, the intern, which I listed as variable because the plan was to have one in the spring, one in the fall, but 2 in the summer. But then the next further resolved indicates that we can only go up to that amount allocated in expenditures for those respective positions. So that it can't just be abused. And it's like, well, you gave us the permission to have a variable number. Here's our 10 interns.
Without any cap, without any cap.
Yes, exactly. So you add the cap is monetary, not the quantity of people that are there. So if we're below the cap on expenses, we can have more people. Of expenses within that line item. And so that is the resolution. Sorry, I know it's a little longer, but I just wanted to make sure that there was clarity on that.
With this in mind and looking how you put this together with the fire chief, you're comfortable with these potential projected expenses that we will be fine for 23-24?
Yeah, we'll be fine with those, especially I'd have to double check the number off the top of my head. But if we were to do 60 medic calls, we would end up into the revenue when it comes to the paramedic piece. So we would be,
where I was going.
yes, so it would do 60 medic runs in the entire year, then we would have already recouped the cost for all of those. And that's on the lower end of the estimate of how much we could get paid for a run with T's as a medic. So, and we do more than those. We'd be able to do more than those. So. And then everything else is just as we budgeted already in the budget. So
Sounds good. I will move to bring resolution 2022-23 to a vote.
Resolution 2022-23, resolution establishing salaries of township officers and employees for year 2023 has been presented by trustee Valentine. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
just a clarification, 2022-20.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
But
I
just want to
amend
make
that.
sure,
Yep.
it doesn't change it.
I thought it was 23 when I
I could have messed up, but it's,
The
This-
title in Google Docs is 23, and at the top of the sheet, it's 20.
oh, did I screw up the title then?
It's okay.
I
That's
have-
what I was looking at.
I have 23.
That's a mistake on my end then.
You
I
just wanna-
apologize. It's 2022-20.
It's okay. Just
Okay.
No, it is,
Like-
sorry, it is
Is
the
it?
number that shows up over there. So I'll
Oh, it-
print a new updated one. Let me double check.
22-23.
Yes,
correct.
I believe
Dash-
so. Let me
think-
double
I
check
think
the
you're
board
correct.
docket. Yes,
Correct.
it is -23. I
Yeah,
apologize.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
No, you're not. It was a mistake on my end. I didn't
Alright.
change the
So
number.
would you want to read this whole thing over?
Yeah, of course, sure. Why not? I'll print an updated copy for us to sign, for
Amend-
you guys to
I was
sign.
trying to be careful.
Amendment has been noted and clarified and agreed to. Thank you.
Future meetings, next one would be the 15th of November.
Yeah.
For additional appropriations, and you had another motion. that you wanted us
Yes.
to cover tonight.
So this is a small one, and I'll get you a copy here so that you have a physical one so that you can see it.
Okay.
So because it's between categories, a trustee can't do it unilaterally. If it's within a category, a trustee can change the line item amounts, but if it's between categories, we cannot. So I have two changes, changes in two funds. I'll start with township assistance. The original budget had $300 allocated for office supplies and township assistance. But we buy, office supplies from general fund. So we're asking to zero out that line item and then also make a change, move some money out of housing to other direct relief as well as the $300. So you can see it there here listed what the changes would be. But the net change for the whole fund is zero. It's just movement between.
Oh, I
line
see.
items.
Okay.
And then, so that's one. And then the second one, and this is related to repairs and maintenance. Actually, there's two on this one, on this fund. One of them is a line item that hasn't yet been funded, but just so that you guys are aware of it, it'll be a settlement net wages line item. It's still zeroed out because we'll add the funding for it from the additional appropriation. But that's to separate the fund, the expenses earlier this year when we settled with Mr. Ward. And so we'll fund that through the additional appropriation, but for right now, just creating that line item. And then we created a line item called repair and maintenance. It's what the fire department used to have. And it should have been under services and charges, but it wasn't in the original budget that this board reviewed last year.
Okay.
And so what we did was move money from the all repairs category, which was just supplies for all repairs was $50,000 prior to today. And we're saying take 45,000 out of it and move it to repairs and maintenance, that line item that we're asking to be created,
Okay.
which more accurately
More-
reflects our spending.
Okay.
So,
And the settlement net wages is just, we're just creating that. so
Line
we can
items, so-
put
yeah,
stuff
in it, and then we'll fund it,
Okay.
and when we do the additional appropriation next month,
Okay,
so. It's just those couple of changes.
so that's been finalized, and what we need to do is do a,
Yeah, if
motion
it's a motion to accept these line item changes.
Okay.
Which one of you would got to me? But
that sounds
You-
fine to me. I will move to bring the motion to a vote.
Okay. Motion to approve the line items as presented by trustee Valentine. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. I like the fact that you moved that to be more specific.
Yeah.
With seeing how the money is dispersed instead of
Yes.
wondering where that.
Exactly, because I think in the past, what we've done has been just, and not myself, but in the past, what's happened is we just put it
Right.
in any category.
Yeah.
And then when you go back and look at prior year's budgets, it doesn't necessarily reflect what the expenses
I'm
actually were.
surprised
per
the state
category.
board of accounts hasn't said something.
I
Um,
would require them to ever say.
Yeah. I think-
Correct.
I think the maintenance here, I like seeing that brought out instead of just under supplies. It doesn't
Yes.
really.
It's not a supply, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Unless we buy something for the purpose of performing a repair and maintenance,
But
that's
separating out,
exactly,
good idea.
so. And so, and that's already reflected in the budget for next year,
Yes.
but we're making sure that this budget for this year, the shift in the items so that people
Good.
see what it looks like. One last one that's not here, and I'll put it later. We're going to have to make a category within the general fund, which is not listed here, so, because I want to make sure that this one requires a little bit more conversation. Because of during the time of my predecessor, there were some expenses that came out and late fees and payments for prior stuff that we've resolved with the IRS and other places. We're probably going to create a separate line item to be able to have those amounts in there separate from the rest of the expenses. So like for payments, like essentially it'll be like a line item that says something like tax settlements with Department of Revenue and IRS. And so we're still working a couple of last ones of those that have
Yeah.
issues, but we'll create a line item for
Good.
that, and I'll also include it in the next meeting too, so that
Good.
it's part of the.
So you'll have more specifics and we can.
Yes,
Okay.
so that you can see it more specifically.
I think that'll be done by November.
Oh, yeah, that'll be done by November, yeah.
The other thing that we had talked about for the November was having that open house. Remember?
Well, that was supposed to be.
No, that's what he's saying.
Is that today?
Yeah.
Supposed to be that.
Well,
I don't know where.
we're gonna
that
need
is.
more chairs.
But no, but
That's
what
this
we
one's
can,
labeled as.
yeah, but what we can do then, for the November, we can let Ryan O'Gara know again. It may have been something came up with his schedule. And then we'll make sure that if, that we'll bring him in and to talk about it, but.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I'm curious.
Yep. Oh,
What is it?
Oh, May I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Uh, Of course. So Eric, I'm gonna, asking you and Hill and Ian here, is there anything from,
It's a bad call.
okay, from a resident in the unincorporated area that we haven't touched on in new business that we should? I mean, Mr. Aguirre was going to be here, maybe I'd followed up earlier, we were talking about transportation modification the next 10 years, which is gonna be rather significant, because 65 is gonna go, the new route for 65 is gonna go in here, and
Yeah.
it's gonna alienate, I think, a lot of people as to what they're gonna have to give up.
Yeah.
I've got the old 231 plan that I found. Is there anything that you can think of as residents, take yourself out of the board, is there anything you can think of as residents that we haven't brought to bear now that we've gotten the budget pretty well set, the fire pretty well set? Is there anything that as a resident, you think we need to address
Yeah.
for now and a couple years in the future? Eric, is there anything that as a board that we should be looking at?
I don't think so. Having the APC here would be good.
Yeah.
Perhaps advertising a little bit better.
And the,
When Facebook notification went out this afternoon,
Well,
so no one had time.
for the APC piece, one thing that would be beneficial when I haven't heard anything back from them about the schedule. I know that Eric's also listed on the list of people's in the committee for the area plan
Yes.
study, for the land use study. When we get that finalized, I would recommend we have a meeting where we have, outside of the regular business of the township, just an opportunity for Ryan to also talk a little bit more about what the APC land use study is going to look like. And, like he'd be able to give people a better idea as to the kind of feedback that that committee would be able to utilize in
Yeah.
making determinations. And I think that that would be something that's beneficial. But I haven't seen any updates in the last month or two.
I haven't heard anything from him, and when I contacted him last time, and David Hiddle, this has been after our last meeting.
Yeah.
They said, yes, you're on the committee. We'll keep you posted as to future meetings.
Yes, I had the third member that we selected. It was a landowner out in the more rural part of the unincorporated area. And she reached out to me and she was like, so did I get added to the committee? I haven't heard anything. I was like, you and me both. But no, but we, once they get that finalized, there's always a possibility that, I mean, it's election season, and so people get busy and some of the stuff gets pushed a few months back. Whenever we get that, I would like Ryan to be here
Yeah.
to give a better, more.
I'll give him a
thorough
call tomorrow, and
check.
I'm not gonna put any onus on him for this,
Yeah, it's fine.
just,
Yeah, it's fine. By next meeting, I mean, the election season will be over, so.
Yeah. Fine,
All the local politicians will be a little bit less busy.
yeah. Although actually, and that's fine, just a heads up. Probably for the next meeting, I'll have to send what's it called, it's not an acting trustee, but
Proxy.
yes, there's a term for it and I can't remember it right now. But it's like person that represents the trustee if the trustee is unavailable, because I'll probably be out of town for the
it's not
time
the
of the.
deputy, it's the,
But I don't remember what the term is. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I will make sure to still zoom in regardless of, because it's an important meeting, but I'll probably still have a person here, that will be, in the building as well, like representing the trustee's office, but I'll make sure to zoom in.
Okay. Any other announcements before we adjourn?
Early voting already started, regardless if we are voting for go out and vote.
voted.
This week?
Me too. I bet you did too, and not yet.
I will.
Oh, you're one of the ones that has that spiritual connection to voting day. That's fair. I would like to have that, but my anxiety tells me if I don't go out and vote, something's gonna happen on election day. And I'm just gonna like end up missing it and then my vote won't count, so.
Okay. I'm moving to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 7:24.
Oh, wait, actually, well, it's fine. He didn't, before that, or like, even if it's now, just we had the fire department update that we skipped over. But it has, no, yeah, you can give it to him.
Because I took it out last time.
Yes.
Because we were doing a super quick one. I didn't.
Yeah.
get it back.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
No, but but you can still say, because
Why
we're
don't
still
we just-
recording, it's
okay.
fine.
Why don't we just recall to
Sure.
call the meeting back to order?
Okay.
Motion to call the meeting back to order.
And Drew's going to make his
Firefighter,
fake,
fire department.
Yeah.
All right. Chief Ordsman, he asked me to come up and do this for him. He's out
okay,
of town tonight. The run totals as of today, and they're at 965. We're down 27 from last year at 992, but I'm sure we'll make that up. The amount of runs we've had in the last few days. So, update on hiring right now. Andrew Spiker is, we mentioned earlier, will be starting on Monday, October 24th, full-time. Joe Wade will assume his deputy chief, battalion chief role Monday through Friday. So Andrew Spiker has been with the department for 6 years, served very, very well with the department, a variety of ways. He went from a volunteer live-in to part-time, now moving his way up to full-time. He's also part of the IT staff specialist, taking care of our internet needs and anything IT wise. So we're very excited to have him come in. Like I said, Deputy Chief Wade will be assuming his roles, starting as Monday through Friday admin. I will be myself being captain, we'll be taking a paternity leave. My wife is due November 14th, so I'll be taking a few weeks, bank some vacation and stuff, so I'll be off for a few weeks for that. So Spiker will be floating back and forth. We also have our part-time staff that will be helping out, filling in those shifts. a little bit of training. We've had our probationary firefighters, 6 volunteers that just finished their probationary class. You'll be seeing them out and about, jumping on trucks, depending on their certification levels that they have currently. We have a few EMTs, so we'll be getting them out and getting them familiar with the areas and training them on being able to work by themselves eventually. Like I said, they finished actually last night. So this is also the first group of probationary firefighters that we put a class through. So we're going to be working on recruiting more, getting another class started soon. Upstairs construction will be starting shortly. October 3rd, we met with the designers over at Purdue School of Art and Design. We listened to 15 of their presentations of what their plans are with the upstairs area. They're all very fantastic ideas. So we'll be getting with Pat Grimes from Cube shortly to get a preliminary sketch and figure out what exactly we're going to do as far as the bunk rooms and outside of the area of the bunk rooms. Career recruitment, obviously we've been taking applications for full-time. That closes within the next week. So far we've had about 6 applicants where we've got word that we've got at least 5 to 6 more that we're going to be getting here shortly, working on the deadlines for the CPAT and everything like that. So once we get all those, we'll be narrowing it down and working on getting those folks narrowed down to the candidates that we need. Volunteer recruitment, like I said, we finished our first probationary class that we've ever done like this before. So we'll be getting a new class here shortly, starting on that. We've been working with Find Date, trying to get a marketing build up for our recruitment campaign. We continuously keep taking the applicants for the volunteers. We've got a few that we're going to be reaching out with and setting up that next date for our class. We just wrapped up the feast as well, so that went very well. They had a record number of attendees this year, is what I've heard. So we again provided fire and EMS coverage overnight for the 2 days, and 2 days that the school kids were there. Went very well. We also had some outside personnel departments, other volunteer departments come in and help out, and they all did a great job as well. So all in all, we're still continuing to work and build relationships with all the departments around us. So, and that's all I have. So
Do you suspect that the applicants that you've gotten for the full-time positions are going to be sufficient?
I believe so, yeah.
Fill all the roles?
From what I've heard and what I've seen, we've got quite a few paramedics that applied as well. We've got a number of EMTs. Our plan is also we have some internal volunteer folks that have expressed interest in turning applications. So,
okay.
And that's our plan, is we'd like to pull from our own before. But depending on how other applicants test, and we got to take the ones that test right and can pass the test and everything. So
sure.
that's our plan. So
okay.
Any other questions for anything? All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Drew, how many beds or rooms do you think are going to be available upstairs after remodel?
We're planning on 6 with a full-time resident.
Okay.
So, and hopefully two residents if we can make that
And that
happen.
can be modified to 9 or,
Well, no, because it's 6 per day. So like,
oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's 2.
so yeah,
Okay.
so like, well, no, so it's 6 per day. So like, even with our paid staff and like if we would have 3 right now, for example, and a station resident, we'd still have 2 beds available.
Volunteer
Okay.
or whoever wants to
Yeah.
come up and stay tonight as
Okay.
well.
Yeah, like they share beds, not at the same time, but they share beds.
Well, I was going to put that in the minutes.
All right. Move to adjourn again.
Motion to be made to do our second closing of the October 18th Township Board meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We thank you. Meeting is officially adjourned at 7:32.
Yes.